Hey, and welcome to Lunch and Learn. My name is Jo Tuitt, and I'm the head of admissions here at the Indiana Academy for Science, Mathematics, and Humanities. By way of introduction, I've been with the Academy for 32 of its 33 years. So I've had the privilege of knowing all of the alumni that have ever come through our program. My background is in the field of educational leadership with a certification in gifted and talented or high ability education. During today's Lunch and Learn, we're going to take a look at the support services that we offer to our students. So basically, how the Academy takes care of your child outside of the classroom. I have some brief materials that I'm going to share and then would be happy to answer absolutely any questions that you might have. So feel free to start dropping those questions into the chat box if you're watching here in our Zoom room, or you can drop them in the comments or email them to the address you see next to my name on your screen, and I'll be sure to answer them as soon as the presentation is over. So let's go ahead and jump in and get started. The topics that I'm going to talk a little bit about today are our extended curriculum. I'll talk about our study sessions and study tables, including our peer tutoring program. I'll talk a little bit about our nursing and mental health services, and then finally, our college and career counseling services. So with our extended curriculum, that takes into account academy and community service as well as our wellness program. So let me break that down just a little bit. For our academy service, that is basically community service, but it's done here at the academy. So it's giving back to the academy community. We for our students to give back to the communities that are supporting them, whether it's supporting them here at the Academy, whether it's their hometown community or the Muncie community. And so that's built into our curriculum and is a graduation requirement. And you can see in that first graphic on the screen that it's broken down by the number of hours a student needs to receive, whether they're residential or whether they're non-residential, which is listed as NECP. And then there's a combination of both. So if they transition between the two, it accounts for that. So Academy service, again, a service that's done at the Academy. And that can be anything from if you've come to visit on campus, you've been assigned an Academy ambassador. That's a student who's been trained to give tours, and they then answer your questions, show you the Academy, take you to classes, and do that sort of thing. Other students might work for one of our science instructors, helping to set up for different labs or cleaning up after the labs. Other students may work in the residence hall, sorting mail or straightening up the lounges at the end of the day. So lots of different ways that students can earn those Academy service hours. We also have community service. And that can be done here in the Muncie community or in your hometown community if you're from outside of Muncie. That can be, again, a lot of different things. The key point there is that it's not receiving payment of any kind, so no monetary payment, and not working for a relative. So some things that students do with that, let's see, volunteering at the hospital. We've had students volunteer at their hometown libraries. Let's see, doing cleanup along White River. So again, lots and lots of different options there. For both academy and community service, we post the different opportunities that are going to be available here locally so that students can very easily get those hours. I always recommend that as soon as you complete your application, fill out your and pay your enrollment deposit, confirm that you're coming. There may be a month or two in there, depending on how early your students admitted, that they can go ahead and start working on that. And we can provide you all of that information, of course, so that you know when they can start working on that. So they can get a considerable amount of that, at least community service done before they actually arrive here for school in the fall. And then wellness credits. So service is broken down by hours, wellness is by credits. So as you're looking at that chart there, those are credits. The Academy recognizes the basic wellness dimensions that contribute to a healthy, to a whole individual when they're kept in balance. So these dimensions consist of cultural, diversity, emotional, spiritual, physical, and vocational. So let me just kind of give a quick definition to each of those. So cultural wellness, that dimension is generally defined as experiences with either fine arts or performing arts, um, history of traditions, shared knowledge and values of the society, that type of thing. Whereas diversity dimension, that's generally defined as experiences that compare and contrast distinct populations. For example, it can include sharing points of difference, situations or activities involving multiple viewpoints. And then our emotional and spiritual dimension is defined as experiences that evoke an emotive type response and can include such things as interests, attitudes, it can include outlooks, it can include um, healthy emotional expressions, philosophical, transcendental, or religious matters, that type of thing. Physical dimensions, probably the easiest one understood. That is looking at physical activity outside of the classroom. So it's a non-class related physical activity and or class talking about aspects of physical wellness. Whereas cultural diversity, emotional, spiritual, and vocational are all kind of a 1-to-1, 1 hour equals 1 credit. Physical is actually a little bit different. It takes 10 clock hours to make up 1 physical credit. And then the vocational dimension is typically defined as experiences that pertain to or prepare students for either an occupation, a vocation, a career path, higher education, activities that relate to specialized training or a special skill, that type of thing. So, with all of these, we offer programming that students can very easily get these credits. Typically, we're offering over 200 different programs and credits each year for students. So it is very easy to get those different credits. Now, students have to sign up for, or sometimes sign up for them, sometimes it's just a call out, but they have to go to them. They have to take advantage of those opportunities for them to count. You can see there in the second little chart that there's a wellness breakdown summary. So if a student is a 2-year student, you can see how many credits they need in each of those areas. And then if they're a 1-year student, the credits for those areas. You'll see that it just says residential. These wellness components are not required for our non-residential students. Just a very quick rundown of our extended curriculum. Now let's take a quick look at our study sessions, study tables, and our peer tutoring. So to talk for just a moment about study sessions, those are required for all incoming residential students. So it's not something that they sign up for or are assigned to necessarily. Every residential student will have this when they start. The purpose of these is to help students get into the habit of an established study time and creating an appropriate study environment. Study sessions are held Monday through Thursday from 9 until 10:30 p.m., which I know probably sounds really late, but that tends to work really well for our residential population. Now, that doesn't mean that students can't study earlier if they want to do so. We encourage them to study at the time that's going to be best for them. But this 9 to 10:30 does allow us an opportunity to set aside a very specific study time for them. After the first 9 weeks, so at the midterm point, if students are doing well academically or meeting all of their different requirements and checkpoints, they can opt out of those study sessions. But there's always an opportunity, should you as parents or we as a school or student feel like they need to opt back into those, we can certainly do so. So to talk just a moment more about the study sessions, these are held in the students' rooms. So they keep their doors open. This helps them to kind of create that quiet, conducive environment for studying. The floors are quiet during that time. Students are only permitted to study, eat, sleep, or engage in other quiet activities during study session. So conversations within the room are kept to a minimum during that time. They can listen to music. I know a lot of students are like, I have to have music on when I'm studying. That's cool. I know there's some research about types of music that's conducive to good studying. So students can listen to music through headphones or earbuds. And students may also need to do group work if they have a group assignment or project they're working on. They can do that, but because it's going to be more than typically just the two roommates together, they do have to get that approved by their student life counselor on their floor, which is super easy to do. So that's a little bit about study sessions. Study tables are a little different. So those are typically held earlier in the day, and they're located in a common area within the academy. For example, they may be held in Willis or Elliott Commons. If it's a small group, they may be held at what the students call Home Tree, which is an area right outside our counseling center. But again, these are held typically during the day. Faculty and administrators are in the area with the students, so it's kind of a monitored situation. It's a great time for students to either work on independent projects, to work on their homework, whether alone or in small groups. It's also a great time for group collaboration. And because teachers and administrators are there, there's somebody to answer questions and to assist and give direction should that be needed. And then our peer tutoring is actually a really great program that I'm always encouraging our students to take advantage of. So the peer tutoring program is made up of seniors who have taken a specific class. Let's use a chemistry class, for example. They've taken chemistry, and they've done well in that class, and so their teacher has recommended them to become a potential tutor. This is typically just seniors. However, juniors during their second semester may also be recommended for that as well. And then as students come and they request tutoring, or if a teacher sees a student in need of tutoring, they may recommend that student to the supervisor of the peer tutoring program. And then as students are paired together to get that assistance. So tutors are also, just side comment here, do receive Academy service credit for their tutoring time, or they can sign up to take it as a half credit class. So they can receive class credit for that as well. So two different ways of doing that. But anyway, so it's typically seniors, sometimes second semester juniors, done really well in a class, provide tutoring assistance to students who may just need a little extra help, either with the class or maybe even with just a section of that class. They can request it themselves or they can be referred by a teacher. So that's a little bit about the peer tutoring program. So again, study sessions in the rooms at night, study tables during the day with faculty or administrators, and then peer tutoring is one-on-one with another Academy student. So let me switch and talk a little bit about our health services and mental health services here at the Academy. With our health services, and Nurse Nikki and Nurse Sherry are both on duty from Monday through Friday from 7:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Their office is located right in the residence hall, so very easy for our students to get to. So if they wake up sick in the morning, for example, just aren't feeling good, they can come down and see one of the nurses who will do all of those nursing type things, take their temperature, blood pressure, all of that. See how they're doing. They may be sent back to their room and checked on later in the day. They may be sent to class because they're well enough to go, or they may be transported to the health center to see a doctor. And of course, you're going to be notified of that should that be the case. Um, so some of the things that they do, obviously caring for students that are ill, they also administer medication. So for our residential students, some medications can be kept in their room in a locked box that we provide them. Other medications have to be kept with the nurse on our med cart. And we don't have control over which meds that is. There are state and federal guidelines that we have to follow for that. But we'll work with you on that. Students will always have access to their medications. So if they need to take, let's say they have a medication that has to be kept on the locked med cart, and they don't take it until 7:30 in the evening, and the nurses leave at 4:30, they still have access to that. All of our student life staff is trained in administering medication, and we'll make sure that the student gets the medicine that they need. So in addition to administering the medication, the nursing team also will take students to the health center that's here on Ball State's campus. It's run by IU Health, and they can actually be seen by a medical doctor. There's also a pharmacy located in the health center, so if they would need a prescription, they could get it there, or if you prefer, or if your insurance prefers, they can go to like locally Walgreens or CVS or Walmart or one of the other local places to get those prescriptions, and we'll assist them with that. Our nursing team also runs blood drives a couple times a year. So students can participate in that. They can also earn different types of credit for that. And then they're also responsible for training staff here at the academy. So for example, I mentioned the SLCs are trained in administering medication. The nursing team will take care of that. And there's other trainings that they'll do throughout the year with both the SLCs and the rest of us as well. And then our mental health services, that area is run by Dr. Mindy Welpe. She is a licensed psychologist, and she's on duty Monday through Friday from 8 to 5 p.m. Dr. Welpe has a team of doctoral students from Ball State University's counseling psychology program that work with her as well. And so together, she and her team are able to provide our students with support and resources to help them achieve their both personal and their academic goals while they're here at the academy. Just very quickly, a few of the services that they provide our students. They can do brief time limited one-on-one counseling with students. They can collaborate with other mental health providers, make referrals to community therapists when needed. They serve as kind of that mental health resource hub for both Academy parents as well as Academy staff. They also coordinate lots of great programming around social, emotional, and psychological topics for our students. And those can also be used for part of the wellness program as well. And they also, I can't remember if I already mentioned this, but they work very closely with our faculty and staff in both training and as a resource, and also identifying and referring students for any different needs that they might have. So some of the things that they might see students for, by way of example, home as you might imagine, is a really big one, especially for the new students as they're adjusting into the environment, whether residential or non-residential. So homesickness is a big one. Adjusting to the academy is another. Um, as perfectionism is one of those things that a lot of high achieving students I don't want to say struggle with, but definitely have to work with. And so they can help them with that. And by way of sharing additional information, I'll be doing a program in January focusing on perfectionism. So if you're interested in that, you can check it out on our website under our Gifted Education series. Dr. Walpe and her team may also assist students who are working through anxiety and depression, self-esteem or self-confidence, and who may be working with disordered eating, body image concerns. The list is quite lengthy, but those are a few examples of some of the things that she and her team might be working with students on. So that's a quick look at the health services as well as our mental health services. And then the last item on that list that I want to share with you is our college and career counseling. Miss Casey Schultz and her team begin working with students about as soon as they arrive in the fall to help them start identifying their areas of interest and then colleges that might support those interests. And then later on, working with them on identifying scholarships and financial aid situations for them. She provides information not only to students, but to families as well. So you'll get emails from her, announcements from her on different colleges that may be visiting. When college applications are due, different scholarships that are coming up. I know maybe 2 weeks ago, she sent out an email to all of our families with it was an Excel spreadsheet with like 200 different scholarships with deadlines that were coming up very soon, so that they could begin and or finish working on those. So wonderful source of information for our students and for our families. Like I said, she assists with those college applications, identifying the colleges, applying to the colleges, but also making sure that the students are getting the recommendations that they need for those, and that they're creating really solid essays for those. And then, as I mentioned already, the scholarships, financial aid, college visits. She has quite a number of colleges coming in physically to meet with our students, but also electronically to meet with them. And then she also can assist with SAT and ACT test preparation. This office does a phenomenal job, and we're so fortunate here at the Academy because typically guidance counselors are way overloaded in the schools as they're taking on both scheduling and counseling and college applications and testing and all, I mean, so many different hats. We're able to divide those all out into different areas of support. And so Ms. Schultz and her area are able to just focus on college and career counseling, which is definitely a benefit to our students and to you as members of their family. While we can't guarantee that if your student comes to the Academy that they're going to get admitted with full ride scholarships to all of their colleges. I wish we could make that promise, but we can't guarantee that students will get scholarships. However, we can guarantee to make the services and assistance available for seeking those out and applying for them. And they do a really great job. Our students are self-reporting, receiving over $10 million in scholarship offers and financial assistance every year. Now they're able to use typically on average about 6 million of that because some of it that they're offered is specific to a college that they may opt not to go to. But again, self-reporting, receiving offers in excess of $10 million. So they're doing a phenomenal job in that. So again, that is Mrs. Schultz and her college and career counseling team and a few of the services they provide. Now, as a person in charge of admissions, I would be very remiss if I didn't take a quick moment to talk about the application process. I imagine that everybody's in different stages of that thought process. So I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but I did want to just at least flash the process up on your screen. There's the link for the application. You'll see the little graphic there. That's actually what it looks like. You can click to begin the application. If your students already started it, they can return to the online application. And once the application is submitted, they can click there to check their application status. That's going to be their student portal hub. That's going to be really important to them throughout the entire process. Once that application is submitted, they'll get their application status and as well as a lot of other information right there. So again, that's on that link that you see at the top line there. You can see that the application process is laid out there in front of you. There's a student section that requires students to answer a few short answer questions. Recommendations are required, one from a school official and two from teachers at large or community members. Anybody that's not related. You can use coaches as well. Like I said, community members and that sort of thing. And then, of course, there's a parent recommendation or parent letter, rather. With all of these, there are specific questions that are specific to that particular person. So I would encourage your students when they're entering the information into the application about where they want us to send those recommendation requests to make sure they're selecting the correct recommendation to go with the correct name, because we don't want to send the school guidance counselor the parent recommendation. That's not going to be the right fit there. So they just need to be very careful on that. We will require transcripts. At this point, we can do unofficial. We'll get the official ones later. So screenshots from any app or web-based program that you may use, like PowerSchool or something like that. We can accept that at this point. It does have to include all completed semesters of high school, as well as a list of the classes that are currently in progress. I do like to mention that if a student has a D as a semester grade in any class on their transcript, to reach out and contact me. It doesn't mean that they can't attend. It may just mean that we have to do something or be creative. Just definitely reach out to me. It's usually an easy fix for these. And then I already mentioned a schedule of classes in session and or second semester schedule, depending on where we fall in that. We are on a rolling admissions, which just a fancy way of saying first come, first serve. I always recommend to get those applications completed as soon as possible. So that you have plenty of time to work through all of the processes afterwards. Our priority deadline is January the 25th, and our regular deadline is April the 24th. While we are on a rolling admissions, those applying for their sophomore year will not begin review until January 26th. So whereas with those applying for their junior and senior year, review begins as soon as the applications are fully completed and recommendations and transcripts are received. Sophomores, we can't begin any review until January 26th. And again, the application has to be complete, recommendations submitted, and transcripts received. The admissions decision is based 60% on academics, so the classes that your student has taken and how they've performed in those. And then 40% of the decision is based on what I like to call non-cognitive indicators. Really, that's just things such as drive, determination, persistence, and resiliency. And those things are primarily pulled from the recommendations as well as those short answer questions. So again, that's just a really quick look at what we're looking for. And decisions usually take about 2 weeks to get those back once everything is received. And those decisions are sent by email. So you'll be able to get an email about that says your decision has been updated. And when you open that and click on the red box in the center of the screen, it'll take you to the decision letter. All righty, so that was a very quick run through. I'm going to open things up for any questions you might have in just a moment. If you're here in the Zoom room and have questions, you can drop those in the chat box, or if you're watching this on one of our social media platforms, you can drop those questions in the comments, or you can email it to me at the email address you see on the screen, and I'll get those answers for you. I'm going to turn off screen share so that I can see those questions and stop the recording so that I can answer your questions. And again, if you're watching this on one of the social media platforms and aren't here in the Zoom room, just send me an email or drop your question in the comments. I want to thank you all so much for joining me today. Be sure to visit our website to sign up for our next Lunch and Learn on January 28th and check out that program on perfectionism as well. Again, thanks so much. Have a great day.